Welcome one and all to Antalya in Turkey and the start of competition. We've got 10 finals coming your way over the next 5 or 6 hours in the sport of artistic gymnastics. This is the first World Challenge Cup of 2024. It's not part of the formal Olympic qualification process, unlike the World Cup events, but it is a chance to see gymnasts, many of whom will be competing at the Olympiad, going through essential preparations. The host nation will be in action early on with 2 of their biggest stars, and we truly have gymnasts from all over the world. The men's floor final will be our first order of business. Then we'll have the men's pommel horse and women's vault, the men's rings and women's uneven bars in the first half of our session. Let's have a look at your contenders. Spain's Joel Plata, Mediterranean Games all-around silver medalist. His teammate Nicolau Mir, who won a silver medal at the World Challenge Cup last year. Ahmet Under of Turkey, the top performer in qualification. Benedikt Tomcani of Hungary, the 3rd best in qualification and a European Championship medalist in Turkey in 2020. Richard Plate of Latvia, his 2nd World Cup final. We also have Adam Asil of Turkey, who's in the wrong place and has swapped over with Ekhimbayir or Sukbayir of Mongolia, the 8th best in qualification, who made his World Championship debut last year. And we have Diogo Soares of Brazil, the 7th best in qualification. The finalists in the men's floor competition, and the top performer in qualification, Ahmet Under of the host nation, the 27-year-old from Ödemiş in Izmir province, about 500 kilometres northwest of Antalya, will be hoping to get his 6th World Cup gold medal today. Great pleasure to have your company wherever in the world you're watching the action from. My name's Ollie Hogben, and I'll be talking you through all of the finals today, but don't let that put you off too much. It should be very, very intriguing. We've got genuine prospects of some famous firsts. There could be nations achieving World Challenge Cup or World Cup in any kind success for the first time today. Having a look there at Benedikt Tomcani, 22. He's from Budapest, which is getting itself geared up to host the European Championships of Rhythmic Gymnastics in May. Should be a wonderful event in a wonderful city. 2 Spaniards taking part in this final, Joel Plata and Nicolau Mir. They were 4th and 5th in qualification respectively, and will get us underway. There is Ahmet Under. We're looking over his shoulder. He's the reigning floor champion from the Islamic Solidarity Games, which took place in Turkey in 2022, the delayed games. And he was also the runner-up at the Mediterranean Games in Algeria. He has a handsome total of 22 World Cup medals. Ahmet Under, we'll come back to him later. The men's floor final begins with a very experienced young gymnast, 26, Joel Plata, in many ways in the prime spell of his career, despite a dreadful injury due to a car accident last year. He's been achieving some super international results in the last couple of years. He was the 4th best in qualification with 13.85. Looking tidy so far. He's only got 1 medal at World Cup level, and that was back in 2018. He's made a lot of finals. Very fluid and well controlled Wenderschwings. It's a nice move through into handstand as well, quite elegant. It's very slightly low in terms of his landing position there, but he arrested it nicely. Well, that's a good looking display from Joel Platter to get us started in this men's floor final. No wonder he reacts as he does. His execution in qualification was 8.15. There's absolutely room for this score to grow quite considerably. On the whole, some secure landing, some good form. Quite a lot to enjoy about that display from the gentleman from Barcelona, who is now based in Madrid. Next we have a man from a very different part of Spain. This is Nicolau Mir from Palma in Mallorca and the Balearic Islands. Oh, we've just about found Joel Platter. We haven't found a score yet for him. He's a man of very strong faith after his dreadful vehicle accident. He thanked God for the second chance that he had been given at life. His attitude has been extraordinarily stoic and positive. Now, he has apparently received a score. We don't know what it is. Hopefully we will soon. .25. No surprise that he's well up from qualification. Execution 0.4 better than in the preliminary round. To Nicolau Mir from Spain. Unfortunately, landing well, but landing well out of bounds. 13.75 his qualification score. Nice kineticism in his twisting work. He's had success at World Challenge Cup level on floor. Won a silver medal in Tel Aviv last year. Does look nice in the air as he twists. Nicolau Mir. Lots of it was quite clean, some little landing deductions here and there. The 23-year-old who, in his words, was born in the gym because his parents run a club in the lovely city of Palma. I don't know if you've been to that part of the world, but I thoroughly recommend the Balearic Islands, Mallorca especially, and Palma is a charming city. I invoke the words of the local writer Peter Ernest Vokes, who described Palma as a city of tapas and terpsichore, where the trials of the day become a mere bagatelle as music drifts into the Mediterranean night. And there weren't many trials in his twisting work. Nicolau Mir looked very clean. Just missed out on the top 5 at the National Championships last year in the all-around competition after being the runner-up in 2022. The Spanish men have secured a full complement at the Paris 2024 Olympiad. And for their gymnasts now, it's about doing all that they can to persuade the selectors that they are the safe pair of hands required to superintend a team competition. Well, seems a bit harsh, doesn't it? Don't think that was quite the right score. We'll come back to that. That's not Nicolau Mir, that's Ahmed Under. That's the floor with some cabling on it. Slightly over rotated in that first tumbling pass. Does well there with a slightly low landing position to keep his feet planted. He was the top qualifier, Ahmed Under, with 14.65. The number produced by Gilles Platter has somewhat upped the stakes, though, because it doesn't allow Under much margin for error, especially knowing that he's got Adam Assil to come. A lack of clarity there from Ahmed Under on the first and last tumbling passes. The interior of the routine was quite tidy. And it will be interesting to compare the execution score there. He was very high in qualification, 8.85. It was beautifully executed. And it might be something of a challenge to get up to that. We look back at this performance from the 27-year-old from a very different part of the country. 500 kilometres northwest of Antalya in Izmir province, where the bulk of the Turkish men's team calls home. Just to remind you, 14.65 his score in qualification. And that with an 8.85 for difficulty. It's going to execution, I should say. It's going to be hard to match that. And he was the second highest execution scorer in the whole of qualification. Adam Assil was 500ths better. Apologies on the lack of a score for Nicolau Mir. We're working on bringing you that as soon as we can. The next gymnast will be Benedict Tomchani, who will take us to the end of the first half of this men's floor final. And there he is, waiting for his opportunity in a country that he has very fond memories of, having won a European Championship team bronze medal in Mersin in 2020. Massive result that was for the Hungarian men. Certainly Amadunda, a gymnast who has strong aspirations to get back to the Olympiad and finish that all-around final that he couldn't complete in Tokyo, where he had to pull out at the halfway stage. Just to update you on Nicolau Mir, 13.25 was his score. So a full mark shy of Joel Plata. Amadunda was the gymnast who won the World Challenge Cup title in Mersin, the predecessor of this competition last year. Again, he seems to have been given 0, which, again, is clearly not quite the right number. Sorry about all of this. Now we go to Benedict Tomchani. Nice judgment of the escape out of the tuck position. He was the third best in qualification with 13.9. That was much more stable. He's come here, Tomchani, fresh from the National Championships, where he won a gold medal and a silver medal. And he won the Hungarian Masters title on floor in Budapest at the end of last year. So that concludes the first half of this men's floor final. Benedict Tomchani with a score of 13.9 in the preliminary phase. He is an undergraduate at the Hungarian University of Sports Science in Budapest. You have to feel for him, because the last World Championships, which was such an important World Championships, were not easy for him. He'd had dreadful cartilage problems, I should say, in his left knee throughout last year. Missed the European Championships in this country. Once again, we wait for the score for Amadunda. Just a few little scoring issues here and there going on in this first final of the day, but there's time to put it right, because we've got 10 finals to bring you over the next several hours. What a special moment it would have been for young Benny Tomchani, winning that floor title at the Masters Championships in his home city, along with winning the pommel horse title. Although he does now spend probably more time in Győr than in Budapest. Győr, the city that hosted the first Artistic Gymnastics Junior World Championships. That was in 2019. And from there it went on to be in Antalya last year. Straight after this, we'll move to the pommel horse and women's vault finals. And they will run alternately, so it should become a slightly snappier move through the competition. .5 Benedict Tomczany's score. He's in second place behind Joel Platter. We are looking now at a young man from Latvia, Richards Plate, who had some issues with his opening pass and he was under-rotated on the second. 6th best in qualification, 13.7. It's a good accomplishment this for him, making it into the final. He was 8th last year in this same World Cup in Mersin. This is just his second international final as a senior. And he is an exceptionally hard-working young man who has just got steadily better and better as the years have gone on, quietly getting stronger. He's a fiercely intelligent chap as well, an undergraduate in electrical engineering at the Riga Technical University, and that took him to compete at the World University Games in China last year, where he was the flag bearer for the opening ceremony. Thus brings to a conclusion the performance of Richards Plate. He's had the great experience of being coached by Igor Virovs, who won the Olympic title on floor in Sydney in 2000. Unfortunately, from Plate's perspective, the execution will take a little bit of a battering here and there for some of the landing positions. He also didn't necessarily have the cleanest form in the Wendeschwings, but all of his landings, or most of them, had just had little adjustments hither and thither, which will eat away attritionally at that score. But there is absolutely no doubt that he is going in the right direction as a young athlete, and his tenacity is very impressive and admirable. He's from another of the famous European seaside resorts in Jomala. Has a very slightly different climate from Antalya, but it has been a popular northern European seaside destination for many, many years, particularly during the 1970s and 80s, Jomala. Probably not quite as pleasant taking a dip in the water there as it is in Antalya. Little chillier. Adam Asil. He will be the next gymnast to go. Pleased to have made it to this final, and rightly so. Richards Plate. He's now competed at 3 World Championships. Hold on just a moment, they say. 12.25 for Richards Plate. That has him in 5th position. just behind Amadunde, who scored 12.46. Now to Adem Asil. He's got a good opportunity to win this. Second best in qualification. Quite tight in the air. Decent form. And then a little of that still rings work on the floor. Going into the Maltese style position, or the planche position. Didn't push the difficulty too hard in qualification, 5.5. This is a gymnast who is absolutely focused like nobody's business on the Olympiad. And with just cause, because he has to be regarded as one of the contending pack going into Paris for some form of honours. He is, after all, the reigning European all-around champion, Adem Asil. The man born in Alexandria in Egypt, but who's lived in Turkey for the best part of a decade now. From a tidiness point of view, that looked just the ticket. His form is good in the pike position. He's not somebody who gives a great deal away from an execution standpoint in terms of leg separation. It's compact tumbling work. The leading score is 14.25. That's Jules Platter, who was the fourth best in qualification. The top performer and the second best, or the third best performer I should say, have struggled a little. And that, one imagines, opens the door a little for Adem Asil. And unsurprisingly, he leads 14.4. Look at that execution score of 8.9. Just added a little extra difficulty. Now to Ikhimbair Usukbair of Mongolia. The 8th best in qualification. Good height in the first tumbling pass, although he did lapse out of bounds. 22-year-old is from Ulaanbaatar. He's going to be competing later on today in the vault competition, where there will be 2 Mongolians. And he was 5th on vault at the Asian Championships last year in Singapore. And made that look very tidy. It's going to be difficult for him to contend due to some of those landing issues, but there's promise in this youngster's work. He's done very well to make it into the final as the 8th best in the preliminary stage. 5.6 difficulty, 8.2 execution. So he did have the second lowest execution score of all of the qualifiers. So let's have a look back at this performance from Ihimbayir Usukbayir. There's a real opportunity for one of the Mongolians to actually get onto the vault podium later, and if they do, they will be the first from their nation ever to win a medal in an artistic gymnastics competition that is on the global stage. And that is at senior level, because I'm sure many of you remember that it was on vault where Mongolia won the Youth Olympic title in 2010. That was won by Ganbatyan Erdenebold. But it's nice to see this young athlete in his third World Cup final. So the score is 13.1 for Ihimbayir Usukbayir. And we now have Diogo Suarez. Massive amplitude at the cost of his landing precision from the 21-year-old. Not sure that was as it should have been. Completely as it should have been, but his flare work is very nice. First Thomas flares that we've seen on the floor in this final. They are increasingly rare now. A little low in the second part of the pass. Quite surprisingly, his first ever apparatus final in World Cup competition. He did compete in one of the old all-around World Cups back in the day. Oh dear, that was a rather jarring landing. Looks as though he's all right, but that was an uncomfortable one right at the end for Diogo Suarez. He's got a little protection around the left ankle anyway. He was the 7th best in qualification with a score of 13.7. I don't think there's too much doubt that this is Adam Asil's title. Joel Platter currently sits second on 14.25. So the last score to come in this men's floor final, it will be for Diogo Suarez of São Paulo State and the city of Piracicaba. Twice a Youth Olympic Games medalist, including in the all-around competition in Buenos Aires. We've just had the formal announcement of Adam Asil's win. We are just waiting now for Diogo Suarez's score, so we are still in the dark, literally and figuratively. And there it is, 12.55 for Diogo Suarez. Had him in 6th position. And we'll confirm those classified results in just a moment, but first and foremost, here are the contenders in the women's vault competition. the men's pommel horse and women's vault competitions. Well, we're focusing on the pommel horse, but here are the women's vault finalists. Bilge Tarhan of Turkey, Liao Yi-chun of Chinese Taipei, Greta Moya of Hungary, second best in qualification. There is Huang Tzuxing of Chinese Taipei, sixth best in qualifying. Top qualifier, Chasha Kiselev of Slovenia, winner of 24 World Cup medals. Oksana Chusovitna of Uzbekistan, third best in qualification. Sara Peta of Hungary, the fourth best in qualifying and the European Games bronze medalist in 2019. Ruby Stacey of Great Britain, eighth best in qualifying. And Morgane Ossisek of France, the fifth best in qualification. Runner-up at the French National Championships last year. The pommel horse finalist, Tierno Diallo of Spain. Daniel Carrion, his teammate, they were 7th and 5th respectively in qualifying. There's Mir Tekulucher of Turkey, 6th best in qualifying. Radomir Stelmach of Ukraine, 4th best in qualification. European Youth Olympic Festival medalist. Zainola Idrisov of Kazakhstan, the Junior World Championship runner-up in this building last year. Mateo Zhugets of Croatia, reigning Mediterranean Games champion. Nariman Kurbanov of Kazakhstan, top qualifier and the Asian champion. And there is the final gymnast, Ahmad Abu Al-Soud of Jordan, twice a World Championship medalist. The classified results in the men's floor competition: the bronze to Benedikt Tomčani of Hungary, a best ever World Cup result for Joel Plata of Spain as he finishes second, and Adam Asil of Turkey wins the title from the second best position in qualification. Commiserations to Nicolau Mir and the youngster from Mongolia, Ichimbair Usuk. The victory ceremony for the men's floor competition in Antalya at the World Challenge Cup, and bronze to Benedikt Tomčani of Hungary, fresh from winning a couple of medals at the National Championships. He's now on a World Challenge Cup podium. The winner of the silver medal is Spain's Joel Plata. His best ever result in World Cup competition after taking a bronze on floor in Hungary in 2018. The winner of the title, Adam Asil, a fourth World Cup gold medal for him. He came in as the second strongest in qualification and delivered the finest effort in the competition proper. And we'll now have the national anthem of the host nation. Come and join me, says Adam Asil, as he invites his fellow medalists onto the central spot on the podium. There they are, the medalists in the men's floor competition at the Antalya World Challenge Cup.